It's Spoilerin time. What's that, you may ask? Well, it is the time when we get to talk about TV shows and movies we've watched in a spoilery fashion, because we spend all the time on Cordkillers, our other show, talking about how to find them. Where are they streaming? How do we watch them? So here we have a chance to talk about them. This week, we are going to talk about Miami Vice, Season 4, Episode 8, starring Sheena Easton and Teller. Also, Silo, Season 1, Episode 8, and The Righteous Gemstones, Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Heck yes. I don't know even where to begin. Where do you want to start, Tom?
Let's start with The Righteous Gemstones. Season 3, the premiere, gave us 2 episodes. So episodes 1 and 2. 1 was kind of a picking up where we left off. Let's introduce you to where the characters are. Dad's trying to retire. The kids are running things. It's not going so great. And we get a little mystery tease at the very beginning about a woman who attacked their mom back when she was still alive. And we get a little hint about what's going on with her by the end of the episode. She is the sister of John Goodman's character and wants him to help with her sons. Episode 2 actually sees the whole family head to the compound to check on the sons, who are part of a militia, and then anger the militia and get driven out. After which the feds raid the militia, which of course, Brian, means that we're probably going to pin the blame on the Gemstone family because they were just there.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't.
No, I mean, he says that at the end of the episode. He's like, it was them Gemstones, wasn't it? You told him.
Yes to that, but I hadn't thought about them having federal difficulties.
No, I wasn't thinking of the federal stuff. I was thinking that the Gemstones are going. Let me catch up with you, Brian. No, I wasn't thinking of the federal things, Brian. I was just thinking that the Gemstones are going to be blamed by the militia, but now the feds who are mine. Oh my gosh, you're right. The feds are going to be in there. So I hadn't meant to suggest that.
I accidentally leapfrogged you.
But okay, no, that's a good one. Yeah.
Let's start with the first episode.
Sure.
Number one, I think it's good that they released 2 episodes at once because
they needed it.
There just wasn't a lot in that first episode. A good 10 minutes of the 25-minute episode, or however long they are, was basically Zion has happened. The kids think they're on top of the world. Grandpa Gemstone is intending to go fishing and so on. We continue to see a bunch of pettiness. We have the development of what's her name? The best character.
Judy.
What's it?
Judy.
Being on the road, and obviously it's. At first, watching the first episode, the fact that they called out, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was on the road. We kissed exactly 3 times. We dry humped twice, and that's it. Well, that was the 4th time we kissed, and now that's it." I thought, okay, this is only going to be the beginning of a long litany of indiscretions that will turn out to have happened on the road. And maybe that still will happen. But in the meantime, the second episode seems to indicate, nope, that's the only one you have to care about is this one guy, because we follow him. I will, again, continue to praise the incredible de-aging that they do for I think it was a 2003 scene with monster trucks and Eli Gemstone.
Oh yeah,
just looking young as hell, and Jesse. It's Jesse Gemstone, right? Is deciding that monster trucks landing on cars labeled Satan was a good idea. A lot of good ideas in there. Not a lot of action. Second episode, chef's kiss. Seeing Gideon as a legit force of nature. All of a sudden, what was the dumbest stuff in the universe of him being a stuntman, suddenly
it was satisfying,
relevant.
wasn't it?
And I love that they didn't screw with us on the like instead of what I expected them to do was because he couldn't look left or look right because of his injury or whatever. Instead, what we saw was Eli and Gideon working together, like clear on the left, clear on the right. We're seeing this cyborg thing happen. It was great. The second episode was 10 times better than the first one.
The best part about that chase scene was you saw the look of confidence come to Gideon's eyes, and yet he didn't immediately win, right? He still had challenges. They almost caught him a couple of times, but he never lost that look of confidence. His look of confidence was, I know how to drive better than these guys. I just need to wait for my opening. And then he found it and did the thing that I, as someone who am not a professional driver, nor a particularly great driver, always wonder, like, couldn't you just slam on the brakes and then they'll zip past you? And like, oh my gosh, he did the thing. And then it worked. That was great. I loved it.
He also, they very clearly have indicated that a few years have passed. And so as a result, like, Gideon gets to be legitimately badass in a way that we have not seen the entire series long.
Except from the first episode, I guess.
Well,
the beginning of the show when he was like in that little gang, looking to do high. That, I mean, he was kind of
but in an evil way. This is him being like a champion kind of way now. You know, where he's a paladin instead of a bad guy.
Did either of you think of the parallels to Succession at any point during this episode?
Not at all. I thought I would think about it more. But you did a lot.
I definitely popped into my head in this episode when they're calling him back, like the board will listen to you, and him when he's fishing was like, kids bother me. I was like, because they're not serious people. It just felt that way. And so even though Gideon is a gemstone, I kind of love the idea that the ministry shouldn't go to any of his 3 children. Maybe it should go to a grandchild instead.
Okay, can we talk about the dumb part where everyone was throwing shoes? Yes, comedic. Didn't get us anywhere in the meta narrative of the whole thing.
No, but they've done that before, where they just do a dumb thing to show how dumb things are, and they exaggerate it for effect. Those usually don't land for me, so this one didn't land any less for me. But it sounds like it bothered you more than
Turns out that once you hit the basement, there's nowhere left to go.
I was like, oh, here we go, doing the like, let's exaggerate the dumb thing. Some people like this, that's kind of where I was at with it.
Okay, so we have 3 through lines. We have
Judy's relationship, right?
Yeah.
And the sort of the spurned affair, the member of the spurned affair, the musician, then
I assume we're all just waiting to figure out that he has blackmail material on Judy now.
Right. And BJ sort of being in suspicious of that. Then we have the 2 cousins who are now on part of the Gemstone family. They've escaped from the militia, but they're on the run, and the Gemstones are harboring them.
What's the name of the actor who's the leader of the militia? We've seen him so many places. I think he was in. Doggone it! We've seen him all over the place.
Steve Zahn.
Yes, Steve Zahn. That's the one. He's got the fishhook scar on his face, and I don't know, man. I love the idea that the cousins they appear to be totally transparent, but maybe they're not. I don't know.
Carl certainly seems like he is meant to be totally transparent. Chuck was sort of like a true believer until he wasn't. So I think we're led to believe that if there's a weak link there, it would be Chuck, not Carl, but that's or is it Chad? I can't remember now. Maybe it's Chad.
Are we buying the anti-pornography or porno store crusade?
No, they're buying it because they have to buy out the store every time they go shut one down. No, what do you mean? What do you mean?
It's
it's pretty cartoonish, is what I'm saying.
Wrong.
It's like literally they're wearing shirts with a splatter of white, and I
think
the question is this just another like dumb running joke so they can play their little suppressed sexual nature of Kelvin, or is it going to tie back in somehow? Is there going to be a point at some point where that becomes an important element to another storyline?
When they do the raid and they shout like shut it down, the background work is truly exceptional, where you see essentially some characters shopping, like looking at individual products and deciding whether or not they want to snake one of them or not. I don't know about that. Also, the Eli's sister is
May.
What's that?
May.
Her name's May.
May. Do we believe that she was truly wronged, or do we think that she's a hanger-on, or what? Because they sort of established that pretty much everyone was a forgive the coarse language, a dipshit, except for John Goodman's character, Eli.
I probably am guilty of not paying close enough attention, but the way I'm remembering it was that we don't know why May was so angry at Eli's wife. We do know that Eli thought that May was not worth keeping touch with, and he doesn't want to help her after what she did. But I didn't think we learned anything about what she did.
I agree. Which is why.
Okay, so what do you? So
which
that's
is why I'm
having,
asking you what you would speculate, because
I don't know what she did, so I don't have a speculation yet. I'm sort of waiting to find out the shoe to drop there. Not to bring up the other scene, but like, okay, what did she do? Was it worth kicking out, or was it not? I know what you're asking me is like, what do you guess? Do you guess it's worth it or not? I'm gonna guess it was worth it because Eli's pretty solid, and we've seen him go through some backstories where you're like, yeah, no, I get why he did it, but maybe that's bad to guess.
I did like the fact that by the end of episode 2, Gideon was officially blessed by both the show in his performance and by Eli specifically saying, "You are my wheelman." It's like, okay, I get it now.
Oh yeah,
we now have a reason for John Goodman, who is getting up there in years, to
That's
be
what
sitting.
I'm saying. He's going to pass it on to Gideon.
Yes.
Is Gideon the right choice? Because it's gonna upset.
He doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it. It's gonna upset his father
which
a
makes
lot.
him only more attractive as the
Right.
person to get it. Yeah.
But would he just spurn it and be like, no, Grandpa, I don't want it?
I was about to say, like, well, he definitely was caught trying to steal from the church and blackmailing his parents, but it's the perfect forgiveness story. It's totally like, well, he's turned around, because all of these guys, right? Even Eli has we saw last season, got a sketchy background.
Where he's literally done a 180.
Yeah, where his kids don't really have that. They've always been kind of, primitive. They've always been on the right, even when they're crass. Where Gideon knows what it's like to be.
Yeah.
Gideon,
as does Eli.
To be honest, everybody below Eli, I would say Gideon has the most earned badass reputation. Nobody else has a badass reputation that's earned.
All right.
Except for Gideon.
And what is the other family that they're jealous of? The Simpkins.
Yeah.
The other
ones
family
that
comes to the racetrack.
Yeah, the like clones of the kids at that moment.
The ones that are like, well, I wish our parents had died in a plane wreck because then we'd have a great redemption story. Are they going to leap on Gideon as the choice because of the redemption story?
Oh, that's wild. I never thought about Gideon as like a freshman pick in college football. That could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Gideon still doesn't want it. Eli wants it. the kids want it for a different reason. They're like, well, it does make a good thing. We can make him a figurehead, and we'll still be in charge. Like,
oh, and it gives us a lot of reason to have like a really strong season with Eli, right? Like
yeah.
he's impressing upon Gideon how he got into it, how he turned his sketchy past into this thing, which is also kind of sketchy, but it's got a different price tag on it. Yeah, like I think there's a lot of opportunities for that to be the case, which kind of means I hope they don't do that. I hope they surprise us a little more.
So the past 2 seasons, we've had full seasons, and then we've had one like in the past season with de-aged folks. It looked, by the mere fact that episode 1 only had 10 to 15 minutes of de-aged 2003 presence. Do you think they're going to break the rules on that, and that we're going to get kind of this back and forth, or no?
I had thought about that. Yeah. I assume we're not going to get much of the past, but I could be wrong.
I feel like we've had one like dedicated past episode both of the past seasons, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we certainly have spent
and
a lot of
from
time
beginning
back there.
to end. It's been entirely in the past.
And I find I don't like those as much.
Oh, disagree.
IMO. Okay.
I'm
bet we
busy.
get one.
I'm
Now that I'm
running
thinking
around the
about
house
it,
with
yeah.
a pickle in my mouth. That's what I'm misbehaving.
You're gaslighting yourself because you're crazy. That's my favorite line of both episodes.
Good show.
Yeah, I
Could have been a slump.
Okay. Let's rank all of the tensions. I'm not a fan of the Judy and BJ tension.
It is so overplayed. Why are we trying to fight for this relationship still? Like,
that was the first thought I had when she came back to him and was like, kissed him, and was not even the shopping center one, but the one where she's at their house. I was like, okay, but now that you're having to choose, you're sort of making me wonder why you chose him in the first place. So we're going to need to see that.
Two avenues I see. Number one, this is just the first of many indiscretions. Other one is this guy is going to create a lot of trouble. We'll see.
Oh, definitely the second is going to happen. Maybe both.
Yeah.
You were going to rank.
Are there any other tensions?
Did you have other tensions, or was that the only one?
There's also tension between the new regime and all of the ministers.
Oh yeah.
I don't see how to resolve that. There's also the tension between
the other shoe will drop.
Group
the other shoe will drop next episode on the ministers, and I imagine it involves Eli talking him down. What was the other one you were mentioning? Sorry, I talked about
the literal combat between the militia. And their group.
That's the best one. That's the most fertile ground.
Yeah,
and I mean that seems like the primary. That seems like the meatiest thread in this episode.
Yeah, agreed. All right, that is The Righteous Gemstones, Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. Let's talk about Silo, Season 1, Episode 8. We find out a lot in this episode. We get a little bit about Juliet's family. We get a little flashback of what happened with her mom. We get some of the truth from her dad about where he fit in the plans and what he actually did and what he actually didn't. And we get the showdown sort of forced between the secret powers represented by Sims and Nichols, and sort of swinging between them as Billings. And I don't know about y'all, but I still don't know where his loyalties really are going to land at the end of the day.
I will say that during this episode, we were able to eliminate many possibilities. We know for sure that IT guy Tim Robbins is bad. That he's
right. We got the turnabout in the cornfield where he's like, "I've always been on Sim's side."
Correct, and
that guy sucked. We knew that.
I legitimately don't remember, and maybe I didn't read far enough in the series for the book. Like, I don't know if our main character
Nichols
killed herself, but I know this much. I believe at this point that she would kill herself to keep the hard drive alive. And
I don't believe that Rebecca Ferguson would die in episode 8. That's the only thing I don't believe.
Just for the value of the
Just
the actor.
no, I don't think they kill off Nichols in episode 8.
Even though she wasn't barely in the first 2 episodes.
That's what I brought up to Bonnie. Oh yes, Bryce, you're there for me. Yes. Also,
yes,
Tom
even
remembers
though she wasn't only in the first 2 episodes. Yeah.
It's unfair. He has an unfair advantage. Yeah. It's fine.
How do I have an unfair advantage?
Because you remember things. You
no,
read the books.
The thing is, I don't remember about this book. I don't know what's coming next. I do have a vague memory of something that might underline my belief, but what I don't know is what happens after she jumps over that edge.
So I will say this much. It was really fun because Bonnie and I have watched all of these, and Josie, our 15-year-old, watched the first 1, 2, 3, I think, and then pieced out for a little bit, and then she just came back on this one. It was very easy to bring her up to speed, to just say, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Guys, I like the show. I like the fact that we've gotten beyond the question of like, is outside bad or not? And instead, we're like, who can we trust? And I gotta be honest, like they did a really good job of portraying Tim Robbins, the mayor, as possibly trustworthy. And I still don't know whether or not we trust the deputy. I still don't. I mean, I don't know. It's now no longer a what's the secret. It's now a chess game, and I like that very much. And I know that Bryce, you've been frustrated with this, because you felt like a lot of stuff was obvious. Is it more interesting now, or is it getting tedious for you?
Some of the suspense does just still feel really artificial. Though it is more traditionally artificial than I would say that I guess I felt after the first 2 or 3 episodes, where it's kind of earned a little more space to have some questions. But I think the end of the season is really going to make or break it for me, because I like this. I like a lot of what's going on, but I don't like the slow stuff. I don't like feeling like the character knows, but we're not going to show you. And I think there's just a little too much, or I haven't gotten accustomed to that yet. But otherwise, I'm liking this. I want to like this. Tom,
I like that it finally started to move a little faster in this episode, because I've been with you on that sort of like, oh my gosh, you're just going to set this up and then let it dangle for tension. That's not really tension. That's boredom. That's just making me impatient. This episode, I didn't feel that way about. By the end, I was like, all right, here we go. She's made a statement. I'm pretty sure she's going to survive, but I don't know how. And I don't know how that's going to be explained. I don't know what Billings is going to do. I don't know if Sims is the ultimate power or if there's another ultimate power. And I certainly got lured into believing that Holland, Tim Robbins' character, was just self-interested and self-interested enough to take Nichols on his side. And it turns out, no, he was always with Sims.
That was the best part for me.
That was lovely.
Is that very, very brief moment when he's the one that bullies and through the checkpoint and gets her through. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know, maybe. And then it's like, nope. That was great.
Oh, and I really did like the execution of the scene where he's like, oh, I said hard drive. I shouldn't know it's a hard drive, should I? Like that was I like the way he played it off. Like he immediately caught his mistake. It was like, well, game's up, I guess. Oh well.
I am loath to admit that after he said hard drive, I blurted out, he said hard drive. And he
didn't say hard drive before.
Did I say a hard drive? And I was like, okay, I'm dumb. You're making fun of me. Fine.
Shut up, Tim Robbins. I'm just excited. This is the first time this season that I've been excited for the next episode. That usually the episode pops up and I'm like, oh, let's watch Silo. But if Eileen's like, can we wait? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. This week, I'm like, I really want to watch it. Let's watch it as soon as it's ready, because I'm excited to figure out what happens next.
Also, we got resolution of I've already forgotten her name again, and her father about
Juliet
and her dad. That's new.
Also, do you trust it?
I do. I do actually. And
Should you?
probably not.
That's the beauty of the show. Is part of me was like, man, he seems really sincere. But
shoot, what are you doing, Tom?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cause
someone's
he's
gonna get
a
fooled.
slippery fish.
Someone's gonna get fooled.
Yeah, maybe.
He's gonna fool you.
And by the way, there's nothing I love more than being fooled. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I'm just saying, he told me 2 + 2 was 5. All right. Any other thoughts on Silo?
No, it's good.
That is
Do we only have 2 more?
Yeah.
this season, but we are getting a second season. Thank goodness. That is Silo season 1, episode 8. Now, let's talk about Miami Vice season 4, episode 8, Like a Hurricane, starring guest stars Teller and Sheena Easton.
Tom.
Brian, which guest star should we talk about first?
Tom.
Which guest star? Just pick a guest star. Don't try to change the topic on me this time. Should we talk about Sheena or talk about Teller? Because I have something to say about either one.
Talk about Teller. Look, there comes a time in every person's life when they have to look upon their artistic hero. Maybe somebody that they've had a 25-year mentorship with. And they have to see them with a mustache on Miami Vice, introduced in the first act, and then go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard time for any aspiring artist.
Yeah.
I look forward to being that person for somebody else.
Yeah.
But today was the day I experienced that for me.
I was so excited to see Teller, and then I went through that entire scene.
Took me a
and then
minute to figure out.
I had to pause and rewind and go, "Oh wait, that was Teller." Like
I didn't. I never got it. I had to only. It was right before we started this, and I saw this screenshot on IMDb that I was like, "Oh, he was the lawyer." Oh,
yeah,
poor Teller.
So that's why Teller was not called out in the Wikipedia article that calls out guest stars. Sheena Easton, I thought, was the good part of this episode. I was surprised at that I reacted to her portrayal of the rock star character very well. Did you all disagree?
Oh no. I was there for all of it. Things about this episode, I thought it was weird that along with murder, cocaine, cults, UFOs, they decided to add payola as one of the worst things that Miami Vice could take on.
Yeah. And dangerous. The danger of the big record company. They'll kill you. They'll kill you over the payola. About 10, 15 minutes in, I don't remember exactly, I thought, I should not be enjoying this episode as much as I am. This is a by the numbers bad episode, but I'm actually having an okay time. And then like 15 to 20 minutes in, I'm like, well, that went away fast. Like the episode just devolved. It's like they ran out of patience and we're like, well, we don't have to show those scenes. Just start throwing stuff in here. Let's go.
Yeah. Looked an awful lot like what we've seen lately from Miami Vice.
Did anyone have an interesting experience? I had an interesting experience watching this episode because for the first 10 minutes, I thought Miss Easton had an incredible American accent, and then all of a sudden she had a Scottish accent. Just maybe it took me 10 minutes to notice it. But
that's interesting.
It's a little bit like in Silo with Julia.
I was going to say, the first 10 minutes, I thought, Sheena Easton's got that Jennifer Nichols or Juliet Nichols thing going on. She's got that thing where she's got an accent, but she's trying to hide it, and it squeaks out every once in a while. So then I looked up, where is Sheena Easton from? I knew she was UK, but I was like, is she Irish? Is she Scottish? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, she's Scottish. And then it was as if, because I looked it up, she was like, he found out. Because every scene after I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, she's clearly Scottish.
Full brogue, full accent on it, which I It's just very funny to me because that just colored the rest of the episode. I was like, she's doing a voice. Why is she doing a voice right now?
I don't know about you guys, but me personally,
the Scottish accent came out more as she gained trust with Don Johnson.
Maybe I'm on my own here, but I'm just happy that finally Sonny Crockett has finally found the one. And he's finally going to get married.
They got married
Everything's
again.
going to be okay.
That's what I mean about this thing just fell apart and they just started throwing stuff. It's like, well, let's not just have them have a relationship. Let's
get married.
He's like, yeah, I want to try. And she's like, do you mean that? Like, yeah. And then next thing you know, they're getting married. I'm like, that did not seem implied by the previous
most importantly,
scene.
he answered the hard question from Tubbs when he asked, do you love her? And he says, no, but I got nothing to do on the weekends.
Well, no, he said, I got nothing.
As good a reason as any to get married.
No, he was being cute. No, hold on. I'll defend
He
this.
was being cute.
He was saying, I got nothing to do on Sunday, which was their wedding day.
Okay.
Right. That was a joke of like, of course I love her. Yeah. But it was also not clear because he'd never said it. So like, why you make a joke there when the audience is still asking the same question as Tubbs? Like, yeah.
Also, she doesn't die at the end of this.
No.
No. Maybe that's not my blood love coming out.
I have good news, Brian and Bryce. Our next episode, which we will watch in a couple of weeks, stars Sheena Easton in the episode Rising Son of Death.
Of death!
Of death, yeah.
Of death!
Of course. Two-parter, turns out. Very jump the shark. We are clearly past jump the shark. They're just doing sweep stuff. Get them married. I don't know.
Although they're also continuing their trend.
They didn't make a thing out of them getting married. It was like it was tacked on to the end. That was the other thing. It was like you're sort of like, oh, I guess they're going to try for a relationship. Actually, I'm getting married. Actually, we surprised everyone and had a party, and now we're going to end the show with the wedding. Like it wasn't even a wedding episode. It was. Yeah.
I don't know. I think there was a good 15 minutes where it's like people were giving speeches.
People we'd never seen before, which they acknowledged by going, a lot of you haven't seen him in a while. You extras we called in.
Yeah.
Also, was the sex scene a little long? Was the well, I guess not.
Was
they cut away from the
Bryce?
sex scene, but
was it too long for you?
It was a little. The romantic moment was a little. Ugh, okay, fine.
Broadcast TV too. Yeah.
Was it?
That's a surprise.
He put on his sexy see-through police shirt. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He put on his see-through police shirt.
Oh my God, I totally. Not just the shirt, but also like the jacket. He has a it's made of cheesecloth. The jacket.
Did you notice his gun was holstered at the beginning and unholstered at the end?
Well.
That's just good safety.
Okay. What happened to this show, man?
I don't know, man.
Like, it used to be a thing that the show was like explicitly very like cynical. Like it very much was like crime is bad and the realities of crime, and sometimes you got to do bad stuff to get the law and justice done. This is none of that. This episode is like none of that.
No,
he's guarding a celebrity, and he's like cartoonishly
it's the bodyguard. Look, I will tip my hat to the fact that they continue to predict movies and TV shows that would come 5 to 10 to 15 years after them. Last week we saw them spell out the entire plot of the X-Files. This week we saw them predict The Bodyguard, which would come out 5 years later. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah. I think that wraps it up, right?
Yeah.
Or Miami Vice.
I think that's the kindest we can be to this episode of Miami Vice.
Season 4.
Although I do continue to notice their use of increasing grayscale, like entire scenes where just nobody's wearing any color. And I know, Bryce, that you were pointing out that it's like the whole point was like dynamic, pinks and blues and all that stuff.
Well, white was a part of it. White was a part of their color book.
White is also
correct,
part of grayscale.
but increasingly it's like
it definitely did look cheaper. It definitely looked more cheap than fashionable when they walked into the entirely white room yet again.
Yeah.
but it matches.
That is Miami Vice, season 4, episode 8, Like a Hurricane. Now, we will not be watching the next Miami Vice next week. Next week, it's Silo, season 1, episode 9, Righteous Gemstones, season 3, episode 3, and the premiere of Secret Invasion, the Marvel series starring Samuel Jackson. That is the Secret Invasion, season 1, episode 1, all coming up next week. If you support the show at patreon.com/Cordkillers, you get these episodes a little early and you get After Talk, where we are talking about changes in the wind. Have we won? Have we killed all the cords? What is next? It could be dangerous. The only way to find out is to become a patron, patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.